So I think last episode, you were very excited that it was episode 10, and I unfortunately have to tell you it was actually episode 9, but this is episode 10.
We made it. We're in the double digits.
We've done it.
Yes.
So sorry for the confusion.
As you know, I'm Hannah Roze, founder and CEO of Plannerd.
And I'm Sarah Peterson, the head of marketing for Plannerd. And today we have a very special guest, which is my lovely fiancé, Trevor.
Yay!
Thought it'd be fun to have him jump in and give us the tea from the groom side of things.
Oh, so much fun. So much tea.
But before we do that, Hannah, give us updates on what Plannerd's been up to. What are we doing?
Yes, so many different things. We're seriously releasing new features. Like every week we have something new and crazy coming out. So it's a wild time for Plannerd. But the first thing that's exciting is the gift giving that we have opened up. So if you have someone in your life who is wedding planning, or you know about Plannerd and your wedding planning and you're hoping to maybe put it on your registry or send a little link around to someone, they can give you a Plannerd subscription as a gift. So it could be a gift for your maid of honor to give you, maybe a family member who you know they have maybe questionable taste in other things that they might be gifting. So you can send them a link and have them give it to you, and you can enjoy everything that Plannerd has to offer. So that was a fun thing that I would share that we are in the mix with. And then also we have a 7-day trial, a week-long trial. So if you're trying to think what is better than my chaotic spreadsheet, I can tell you that we are better than your chaotic spreadsheet, but you have 7 whole days to figure that out. So you can use the code Plannerd7. I'll put it on the screen, and then you can have your little free trial to click around and see what's what, and then you can take it from there. So 2 things that I will share from the Plannerd world.
Love it. People have been following your story. I mean,
What phase are we in right now?
We are in the crash out phase.
Yeah, just about.
It's the crash out phase, I think. It's like we're in decision overload. It's just like I said to you yesterday, I was like, if I have to make one more decision, I'm at the point where when people ask me to make a decision, I'm like, do whatever you want.
I don't care.
I don't care.
Yeah.
And what kind of decisions are these? Is this like, are we talking napkin color, or are we talking like where should the ceremony be? And I know a little bit about the ceremony, but
yeah.
The ceremony, I mean, that's been a whole other thing. We essentially canceled our ceremony.
We definitely pared it down.
We pared it down. The issue was at the venue, there wasn't really a spot that I was like in love with for the ceremony. And because Montana's like the sun in Montana, this is crazy, does not set until like 11 p.m. because you're,
oh my gosh.
So, I know, which is kind of cool, but kind of weird when you're planning a wedding, because most people would get those like pretty sunset photos at like, 4 or 5 p.m. That's when our ceremony is, but it's going to look like noon.
Hi friends, popping in here very quickly to tell you that if you love what you're listening to, please hit subscribe, click the like button, tell the algorithm gods that you love what you're hearing so we can continue putting out more great free content for you. Okay, back to the episode.
So because of that, I wasn't in love with where we would have to do the ceremony at. It was also a lot of walking.
There's quite a few logistics to go into it. We would have had to build pretty much a whole another venue for the ceremony.
Yeah.
It was like,
wow,
not super far away, but like a quarter mile on uneven ground down into like a little pool riverbed, and then build
a ravine.
A ravine.
Yeah. For lack of a better word, yes. It got to the point where we thought that there was like too much hype around it, and then when we sat down and talked to each other, we're like, what is the thing that like is stressing us out the most? Like we're like dreading the most, and it's that awkward moment where like we look at each other, we hold our hands and like have these like pre-thought out speeches, which do mean a lot to us, but in the way that it was portrayed,
actual ceremony,
I was a little concerned.
Logistics around like seating and people hiking down the ravine, like I was like, that to me is not a luxurious experience. And if I'm going to make people dress up formally, then like I'm going to make it as much of a vacation as I can. I don't want any manual, like we're not working out on wedding day. And I just I think because of my own career being a wedding photographer for so long, that part of the day specifically is just like the most boring to me. Like if you were to lock me up in one of these cabins for like hours and like do the whole thing of like they were like, guests arrive at like 3:30 and then you'll go at like 4:30. And I was like, I'm going to lose my mind if I'm just sitting in there.
She wants to be in the mix.
Yeah, I'm having FOMO already and it hasn't happened. And so because of that, I was like, what if we totally pivoted? Because fun fact, you can do whatever you want for your wedding. And so
What?
we were like, what?
Crazy.
What?
Crazy.
We were like,
Seriously
well,
though, people don't realize that. People
No,
really don't
literally.
think about that. Like you feel the pull to be in the template is so strong.
So
Yes,
strong.
yes.
I mean, so strong that I always swore I would not be in the template. And
Yeah.
then when it came down to planning, I was like, okay, like we're going to do the ceremony, we're going to do the whole thing. And then, I mean, in like the 11th hour, I was like, pause, like we don't have to do this. We
Yep.
don't.
Yep.
And I will say we scared the hell out of family members.
Both
Yeah, did
sides.
you get pushback from your planner or family members about that?
Planner, no, I love her. Chelsea was like, she got it from day one. Like when we first met, I was like, as a vendor, like I need this to be so unconventional or I'm going to be
She-
bored.
Yeah, and she knew it. She picked it up and ran with it.
Yeah.
She's been on board with every one of our decisions.
She was actually probably the easiest to pitch it to. Like I was
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm canceling the ceremony. Because there's a lot of logistics that go into canceling the ceremony. Like you have 200
Yeah.
chairs and like, you know, all the set things, the stage, the flowers, everything. And so
Mhm.
she just ran with it. And she was like, okay, cool. What do you want to do? And I was like, I'm going to get married at the center of cocktail hour.
Yeah.
And she's like,
Actually,
okay.
Had
Yeah,
she
it was
done
cool.
anything like that before?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know.
She didn't
Yeah.
say that she had. I would assume no, because who has done that? I don't know anyone that's done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when we brought it up to her, she had kind of like, I mean, she was immediately adapting to it already. And
Yeah.
then she had brought up being like, oh, well, do you guys want to have like, she had brought up changing the location and having it more kind of centered around the cocktail hour. And then that's
Mhm.
when Sarah had the idea of being like, wait, what if we still honor the ceremony by having like a, you know, a pared down version, still with all of our friends and family and guests, but in a less formal way, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that I feel like you've mentioned before, Sarah, feeling like trepidation about that moment of standing up there,
Yeah.
sort of like you were saying, Trevor, we've talked about private vows versus public vows.
Yep.
And even from the beginning, you were like, I just don't know that that's me.
Well, and I think I'm the problem. Like, that's probably something I need to take up with a therapist. Like, I just like cannot think of anything worse than having to share my innermost feelings with like
All of our people.
literally.
Yeah.
Like, you probably could do it better. He's very, very
Definitely.
emotional.
Definitely. I could do it. I'd put on a show. It'd be great.
It's not too late to switch back and
It's
do
not
the other.
I just really throw Chelsea for a loop. Be like, actually, you know what? We decided we're gonna do massive ceremony.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
No.
Wait, Trevor, I'm curious from your perspective over the planning process, like how have you felt as the groom in the decision-making process? Because Grayson, my husband, I feel like he felt like he was almost being excluded or almost pushed out by people when he wanted to be involved. Like
Yeah.
the flowers would come up and everyone in the room, all the women would be like, well, Grayson, you probably don't want to be involved in this conversation. He was like, well, I kind of do. So, but now I don't feel like welcome to be a part of it. But
Yeah.
I'm curious whether like if you felt that at all.
So I would say that I've tried to be very present for Sarah, and like she's got a lot on her plate with planning this wedding as well as everything else she does for the wedding industry. So I've tried to be there for her while at the same time learning there's a time and a place to interject my opinion.
Facts.
And that has been something that I have learned through this process, because I'm somebody that will be the first to say something about anything. And learning that, you know, my opinions aren't always welcome, especially when like it totally strays from a vision that she's been creating. So
Mhm.
I have learned there's a time and a place.
I also think it ties into like the fact that I've seen so many weddings that like he'll have
Yeah.
an idea that like I hear other, you know, people who haven't planned a wedding have, and then I have to be the one who's like, okay, as the vendor who's seen that go down, let me tell you how that's not going to go.
Yeah. What's an example of the most off the wall thing where, Sarah, you're like, I've seen it. We should not do that.
I think I had one that I remember is like, it's a small thing, but like there was these steak knives that I really liked, and I was very wedded to them, no pun intended. And when it came down to it at the place setting, when we had everything laid out, our vendor was super great and like took the time to pick and choose everything how we wanted it right in front of us. The steak knife was so glaringly out of place that, and I couldn't see it.
It was
I
like
just
an
saw that.
elk horn.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, it was cool. Don't get me wrong, it was cool, but it was so out of place. But I didn't see that, and Sarah's like, Trevor, like, we can't do that. We can't do that. And I was like, okay, I
he was
guess you're
like,
right.
it's so cool though. It's like an antler, and I was like,
And looking back on it, I
think
totally
of
now
100
see.
antlers
Yeah,
on the table.
and that was
Yeah.
just like one example of like things that I
That was a
didn't
really
really know.
small. That was
Yeah.
a really small example. I think, but even when it came down to like planning and like bridal parties and things like that, like he was like, okay, so do we have like like
Yes.
12 people? Granted, Hannah did have 12 people.
Yeah.
Yes, I can speak to the pros and cons of that experience.
We have dissected the firm versus no firm
Yes.
so many times.
Yeah.
But that was
The
one
firm.
thing where he was like, oh, and then we all match. And I was like, no, like we don't have to. It doesn't have to be the like
Yeah.
wedding from the 90s that you see or like your parents' wedding.
Yeah.
So like kind of that. I just feel like anybody who isn't in the wedding industry goes into it being like, we have to do things traditionally.
Correct.
Mhm.
And so it was kind of, I felt like it was my job to kind of like show you other
Break the
options.
molds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and be like, hey, it can actually be
Yeah.
totally rogue and still work out and still be a wedding.
Mhm.
I do think there's like some things that you have to keep. Like initially, my big crash out was like, I wanted to cancel the ceremony like as a whole.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And then Trevor was like, okay, keep in mind, like everyone is coming to this location to
Yes.
watch you get married.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is true. Like,
not to point out the obvious here, but that is like kind of the single most important part of a marriage is
Yeah.
like the vows,
Yes.
the ceremony.
They want to see you say "I do" and then
Yeah.
kiss.
exactly.
So, and it's been a process because we're both having like so much overload with this, and then trying to say flat out, "Hey, I think it's a bad idea to not do the ceremony," was not the way to approach that. So
Mhm.
that took some grace and like allowing her to sit and really think about the decision, and then we both talked with both sides of our families about it.
Oh,
and
I didn't talk. I told.
That
was
checks
kind of
out,
goodness.
Sarah. That fully checks out. Trevor,
Yeah.
how involved has your family wanted to be on the decision making side, and like were there boundaries that had to be implemented? Or I know that's a hot topic for lots of couples.
Yeah, all of the above. We worked mainly on it with each other, and then got because Sarah's family's from Montana, had a lot of insights from them. When I started to get my parents involved, I think for them it was a lot of overload as well. They're in a very busy time of their lives right now, totally aside from their son's wedding, which is a very important day. So when I really started springing upon them, outlines, decisions, and everything, they kind of were along for the ride and just saying yes. And it came to certain things that I never would have thought would have, had points of contention that came out. And we learned that together, for better or for worse. And so it was a part of the decision-making process that I also wasn't prepared for. So going back to your question of how involved my parents have been in the decision-making process, they've been pretty along for the ride.
Yeah, you go, Sarah.
Mine know that I like. Obviously, it's my industry, so like, for anyone to be like, actually, you should do this, I'm gonna be like, nope, veto. So I think I will give my parents mad props. They kind of set the boundaries before we did. My parents were like, here is your budget, and we don't want anything to do with like you do what you want. You could literally like elope, do this, do that, like whatever you want to do. It's your family now. Like you guys are your own family. And so that was super helpful because they just kind of like set the tone. And that was really, I didn't even realize at the time how huge that was until we were like deep into wedding planning. And I was like, wow, like they made it so easy because it was just between us.
Yep.
Yeah, that's very unique. I think many people deal with families who want to be very involved, or they have their own vision that they're trying to impart. And it's so tough because like looking back, it was our wedding, but there's so many other people who it's a milestone for as well. And I sort of look back and think like, maybe I should have been a little more open to other people's vision because it was significant for them. but ultimately it is your wedding, and so you want it to be the way that you want it to be. So it's such a crazy experience to go through, and like it's a hurdle and a rite of passage for couples to deal with these questions, because a lot of times like the questions they're bringing up are questions you have to deal with in your marriage, just in a whole different context, like boundary setting, involvement, money, all that stuff. Like that's going to be present outside of the wedding as well.
Very well said.
Well, and I think like even when we were doing our interview for Plannered, we were talking about that, and I was like, I didn't even realize how many parallels there are in like, setting up your own marriage and planning your wedding. I'm like, we've already learned so much about each other just in this process, and it very much creates like you are your own team. Like we are our own team.
Yeah, it's
totally
laid the groundwork for I know how our marriage is going to be, and I think it's a great thing to experience. It's the good and the bad, and we've managed to get through it, and we're trying to keep that excitement alive for the marriage right now. Like we said in the beginning, the decision overload is to the point where like they're like, oh well, maybe this might not happen. We're like, okay, whatever.
Someone's like, I'm gonna buy this rainbow dress. I'm like, do it.
Fine.
Whatever.
That's cool.
Wear whatever you want.
Yeah. So you start by mentioning your like indecision overload. What are some of these remaining? What's our timeline right now? How many months are we out?
Okay, we are, what is it? March, April, May, June, July, August. We are exactly like almost to the day 5 months out.
Yep.
Okay, so what's left?
That's came crazy. I feel like a month ago I was like, oh, we have 6 months. Like we're good. Yeah. The second you're on the other side of 6 months, like
it feels fast.
Now I have people being like, hey, we need to schedule your final call. And what's crazy is like, I am also doing that to people as a vendor.
Yeah.
Which is normal for me. But then when it happens to me, I'm like, whoa, like you think you consider it now?
Mm-hmm. Right? Slow your roll, people.
Slow your roll. I think now are big things where I really wanted to find, and this is my crazy. What's funny is this ties into our next section, which is like insane trends that are happening. I wanted like a dessert activation, if you will.
Oh.
So
like more than a fountain? How activated can one get?
She will tell you.
I'm going to, because there are these s'more cowboys who are like strapped up with like little
bandoliers.
They have trays of like s'mores and things that you can add to the s'mores. And I saw this on Instagram, and I was like, my wedding planner, Chelsea, sent it to me. And she was like, you feel like the right fit for this. And I was like, oh my God, I need it.
And it's
Is
so
this
much
like
fun.
Magic Mike meets s'mores?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
My mom was like, I don't know if that's for a wedding. And I was like, it's gonna be.
Are they shirtless?
No, but they are hot.
Okay. I got it.
Yeah. So it's a full kind of like, idea, especially like at the outpost, to have a couple of cowboys making s'mores. Like it's
I love that. Yeah.
We're like really leaning into the themes. And so like the things that we still need to book, I think it's just Sarah's dessert activation.
Yeah.
And then today, can confirm, we just paid a fat bill for the fancy porta potties.
We just got those locked in, which was big.
I didn't realize I'd be as happy as I am, but that was like the one thing like looming over me, because I literally had like 3 stress dreams where I like woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, oh my God, we're like not gonna get the fancy ones in time.
Toilets.
Yeah, literally toilets. I'm like, we're not gonna have the fancy ones in time, or they're gonna be booked, and then all of a sudden I'm gonna have to order like the plastic blue ones, and people are gonna be like, what are we doing?
Talk about guest experience. The toilets are guest experience.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm happy you see it that way, because at first, the first quote that we got was from this company who, yes, they're like the trailer kind, which is nicer, but they were painted like a barn.
Like a red barn. And although that is...
I think you sent me that link. Yeah. Probably, it was dominating.
It's dominating, exactly. Yeah. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but for our wedding, it was not gonna fit.
No, I'm so scared of the term rustic, and I feel like when you tell people like, I'm getting married at a horse ranch, they're like,
it screams rustic.
Yeah.
Picture like burlap and
weathered wood.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
which I'm not opposed to, but
I am.
It can still be incredibly chic. I think there's just a certain way that people are you can present it and then you're like, like too much. It's gone wrong. Yeah.
Like I've had like multiple people who are like, oh, like when's your wedding? What are you doing? And I'm like, yeah, it's at a really cool horse ranch. And then they're like, oh, and I think their immediate thought is like this DIY burlap sack wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no. This is sailcloth tent in the middle of, a field. But the bathrooms were really stressing me out. And when they sent the initial quote, I was like, I didn't know I'd feel, that's probably the one thing I was the most passionate about. I was like, nope, I want to find a different vendor. Like, I just don't want it to be this like eyesore, even if it's like a bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went bougier, I guess, but
I think that's a good call. At the Seattle wedding show, two things that come to mind. At the Seattle wedding show where we had our plannered booth, the people next to us were oyster shuckers who roam the party shucking oysters, similar to the s'more idea, which was super cool. And we got a bunch of their like oyster tasters. But they did not have the hot guy angle. I love that new addition to the roaming like appetizer thing. But then also on the other side of us was a bathroom vendor. And so we got to hear them give their pitch about 100 times. And it was definitely like the center of a guest experience. Because even if everything else is beautiful, if you're standing in a grotesque porta potty, that is what stands out in your mind.
Like a formal dress.
Yes, no.
And I know because like as a guest, and this is what our whole thing is, I'm like, okay, you got to put yourself in the headspace of like your guest. And I'm like, if I went to a wedding that was formal attire and I saw a blue like festival porta potty,
no,
that would be
I'm heading home.
That would be the one thing that I would remember.
You're like
years later, am I going to remember the color of the flowers? No, but am I going to remember that I had to like
porta potty?
Yes, blue.
In a porta potty, like no.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I was so passionate about that. That was like the one that came to mind. Can confirm that is locked in as of today. And so now I'm pretty sure.
We're almost like I swear we are like the hill. We're like almost on the other side. Yeah. So we're pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
One quick side note that I was stressing out about and that we finally gotten locked in was the guest list and the invitations. This has been something that they tell you about, but you have to experience it.
Yeah, what part of it was hanging over your head the most?
So first we'll go into the wedding invitations. Sarah's been doing a lot of the DIY for the wedding invitations. And
no, pause. Not DIY.
Oh, wait, is this Stampgate?
No. Oh my God. I forgot about Stampgate. For those who don't know, I messed up on the postage. Actually, technically the guy at the USPS store did. Messed up on the postage. I think only like, I still don't know. We still don't know who got the save the dates and who didn't. Although we've heard from like, I mean, I followed up with a lot of people.
Yeah.
We do know that a lot of our save the dates did not get there in time, or we got returned ones and I had to add more postage. It was a whole thing. So when it came to the wedding invites, we went with a very cool, like actual stationery designer out of Montana. And so I've been working with her. The reason that we went with someone who's doing like bespoke everything is because I wanted to incorporate some of like my drawings and things into the design. But I didn't know how to do that without it looking, like shit on my own. And so she has been wonderful because she'll like give me a project. Like she was like, hey, I want you to draw like a really colorful, like wildflower horse. And I was like,
ooh, wildflower horse? How does that even work?
I'm going to show you.
She would love to show you.
We get a sneak peek? Yeah. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Peeks. Yeah.
This is my only sneak peek because you're going to get the whole invitation suite.
Wow. Wait, you drew this?
Yes.
She drew this.
Oh my God, Sarah, this is beautiful.
Like,
what?
So she was like, she's giving me these like little projects. And been like, you want the whole horse?
That is crazy. Not in a million years could I do something like that.
Mind you,
that is beautiful.
I'm a fine arts major, so this stuff comes easily to me.
Isn't that like stunning?
Yeah.
Yes, that's stunning.
So because
can't wait to see it in person.
The invites and like the liners, I drew the liners that are inside the envelopes and all this. The invites ended up being a whole thing. I think that's the one thing that gave you.
That's what I was bringing. Yes, it was. I wouldn't say like fully traumatic, but like
He had a beautiful.
it was a little,
That was his most like sticker shock moment. He was
Yeah.
like, "This is
Yeah.
just for the like invitations. Like this could be an
on invitations.
Yeah.
He's like, what? Are you serious right now?
It'll be beautiful."
They're
Just
gonna
make sure
be-
to keep one packet for yourself, because we kept, definitely do that. And I like that we have it for ourselves to like look back on.
She was
Okay,
like,
good.
the cost per invite was a lot, but I was like, just like out of my own anxiety, I'm like, I need at
Yeah.
least like 5 to 10 that like say that somebody's gets like ruined in the mail, because I've heard about that happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like ripped or damaged or wet or whatever. And so I'm like, okay, we need a handful of backup ones. And then I want like 2 or 3 because
For
I'm going to
us.
frame one for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, we definitely have a few extras. Those come out like very soon, which I'm excited about.
Yay. Wait, so for people who might be doing the same invitation suite style, what would you do differently or suggest people like be mindful of with the postage, or like how to make sure that what happened to you doesn't happen to other people?
Doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
Use ChatGPT or talk to a professional.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was super. I had so many ideas about what I wanted, and there was a period of time where I was like, I could probably do this on my own. Do I think I could have? Maybe, but
Maybe.
that's like one of the big things where I'm like so happy that we got someone who like does this for a living involved with, because like she was able to walk us through. She's like, okay, that needs to be die cut, and these are the fonts that you want, and this is this, and this is that, and I was like, that's stuff that I would never have figured out on my own.
Yeah. And that's
she
related
had
to
all
the
these
suite, like the invitation suite, basically.
Yeah, and then like, what did we cut? The map.
The map.
We initially, I went to
The
Grant.
hand-drawn map.
It was a hand-drawn map
It was
involved.
cool, but it was a little
I worked on it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I was drawing each like building and things and like, and I hated it. And so we finally, after like 2 weeks, I emailed her and I was like, hey, we're cutting the losses on the map.
Done.
Like veto on the map.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. So I feel like there's like something to be said for like, you don't need like a 20 card invitation suite.
Yeah.
But you can do like fun little unique things to make it something that like people will be like intrigued by. That was my whole goal, was like, I want someone to get the invite and be like, oh, I have to go to this wedding.
Yeah. And it's fun when it's like a little, we think about it as like branding, but it's giving a little flavor for what the vibe and the aesthetic of the wedding is. And it's fun to see how it's setting the tone for the rest of the day.
And that's what I was telling my mom the other day, because she was like, I feel like people are really confused on the dress code and stuff. And I was like, once they get the invitation suite, they
totally.
Like, you'll see the vision. It's a lot of flowers. It's very colorful. Like,
it's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
It'll make sense once you get the actual invitation suite. We even had her add like a blurb in there on outfits because, as everyone knows, I'm requiring a dress code. Pissing some people off and making some people really happy, which is great.
Thanks for stopping by, Trevor.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. I'm scooting. I'm the star of the show now.
Scoot in.
Woohoo!
So when do the invitations go out?
That's a really great question. I sent all of the like final pieces and stuff end of last week. And then I think probably this weekend-ish, we should be getting like the final proofs. And then from then it's like, they should go out soon because our RSVP date is by May 1st. And so I think they go out like a month before that, like beginning of April at the latest.
Nice.
Which I'm
Yay! Any last wedding updates to get off your chest?
I don't think so. Honestly, today when I was putting together like the plannered Instagram post, which is like boundaries that every couple should have going into wedding planning, I was like, wow, I really need to take like my own advice. And just like make time for, like, it doesn't all have to be chaos. Like, make time for date nights and don't feel like you need to respond to people immediately. Like, people can wait, you know?
Yeah, that's where our hotline idea, I think, comes into play.
Dude, our hotline idea is such a good idea.
Right? And yeah, and for anyone who didn't hear us last episode, the concept is on the wedding website, everyone always says, feel free to reach out with questions, happy to help. You're not actually happy to help. Like, please don't annoy me with 1,000 questions. So maybe the alternative is to list out certain people for certain genres of questions. So for transportation, talk to brother of the bride. For logistics or day of things, like the day before or day of related logistics, I think is maybe even the most important part, whether that's like to your actual planner or to your maid of honor or whoever. That way, because literally I've been to a wedding where the day before we could not for the life of us find the invitation or the wedding website. We were like completely lost. And I'm like, we only knew the bride and groom at the wedding. And I was like, I don't want to text her and be like,
No.
what time is the ceremony? Like, that's terrible look.
And I feel like that happens at every event. I remember at my best friend's wedding, like 2 years ago, I was getting texts from people who were like, I would say like third party friends, like people that I didn't like super know, but were going to the wedding and were like, hey, I'm so sorry. We're already in Napa and we left the like, invite that had the wedding website on it at home. Help. Like what time do things start? Where's the welcome party? All of these things. So hotline could alleviate.
Yeah. Or send out the link 3 nights before.
Yes.
Like, can't wait to see you. This is the link to our wedding website. Like now.
That I think is like a huge one. And I think we're going to do that for sure. Because I'm like, with everyone coming to a random city in the middle of Montana, I feel like we have to kind of be on top of it. Just be like, okay, like here's your game plan. Here's what's happening. Just as a reminder, because I'm sure people are going to leave their invites at home. That's where we're at in the wedding updates.
Whoa!
Next section. This is fun.
I'm very excited for this next segment.
We've kind of been talking more and more about how like all of a sudden we're seeing a shift from like everything was very 2026 centered up until like now. Like now we're hitting spring, so now we're hitting 2026 wedding season, which means that people are planning 2027. And I feel like the last like week specifically, we've been having more conversations about this. And so I took it upon myself to pull all of the trends that we're seeing more of in 2027, because we ourselves already thought they were a little crazy. They're much crazier than I thought. People are actually doing these things.
Okay, I'm so excited to hear.
Go through some of them, and I want full opinions, because I have so many opinions on them. The first one is themed reality weddings, which is like wedding guests becoming characters or settings that are like fully immersive worlds. People are doing sci-fi themes, space themes, 70s resurgence or disco themes, surreal dream themes.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Themed reality.
Okay. Themed reality is a very funny way to frame that, but actually I went to a space themed wedding over the summer.
You did?
This past year, which maybe they were a bit ahead of their time, because I've been hearing more and more about this as a trend, and they were definitely ahead of the curve, but it was super fun because for a couple different reasons. One, it was so in line with their personality that it was like from the moment that you were there at the wedding, the resounding sentiment as a guest was, this is so them. And I hear that from a lot of couples. People want the wedding to be reflective of their personality, their partnership, their lives and the things they're interested in. And so to have the theme be really on brand for your love together, your relationship, I think is a very cool and unique thing. And secondly, it provided a very specific dress opportunity, like dress code opportunity for the guests, because we got to go all out in our space themed attire. And maybe I'll put a picture here of our ultimate outfit. I did a little TikTok series of what I should wear to the space themed wedding, and people had a lot of opinions. I did a little like try on at the beginning, and people were like, no girl, that is terrible. What are you doing? Ultimately, I got around to it. But that's really cool. I have heard a lot of themed weddings, and it's interesting that's picking up. Yeah.
Oh, it's super picking up. Okay, so let's incorporate love it or leave it. We're loving themed reality.
I'm going to say love it for other people. I don't think if I would have gone back and had this trend be active when I was getting married, I don't know that I would have wanted to do that. Like,
totally.
The theme is our taste as the theme, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Okay, the second one is unhinged guest experiences. And when it elaborated, it said magicians, tarot card readers, stand-up comedy sets during dinner, circus acts, aerial acts, mini golf courses.
Yeah. This is rampant right now where
Everywhere.
guest experience for when I got married a couple years ago and in past times meant like the buffet was really popping off. Like
Yes.
did not mean there's someone doing silks behind you. But I actually really love that we're thinking more out of the box about this. And I actually feel like it's an opportunity to think about what you want to spend your money on. And if they're like, I'm envisioning kind of like an industrial space with people in silks, as this example, doing cool acrobatic stuff. You're focused on that and the uniqueness. And if there wasn't like a ton of floral everywhere, I wouldn't even really care or notice.
No.
So it's kind of a cool like rebalancing of the scales in your budget.
I agree. And guest experience as a whole, I equated this to, and I don't know if other people do this. In California, they do this thing when you're a senior in high school called grad night, where they spend like weeks transforming the like school, gym, and other parts of the school to the point where like it's such a big deal. And this is very niche, just like the town I grew up in. But it's such a big deal that a week beforehand, they do tours. So anybody from the city can come and tour it. And they basically transform it into like, I remember one year it was like pirate themed. And they went like all out, like you walk in and like everything's carpeted. There's a like ship in the middle of everything. Like it's insanely interactive. But I kind of think about it like that, where I'm like, you're so like, sensory overload that it's like fun. Like you are creating. If you're going to give me an experience, then like I'm there. That's a lot more fun than just sitting and eating dinner.
Agreed.
Okay, the third one that kind of tied into that was like interactive activities for guests. And I liked these. So like tattoo stations, DIY cocktail bars, that one might lose me.
Yeah.
Build your own dessert cocktail. And then it said think festival stations.
Okay. I have some thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay, the bar, like build your own cocktail one, I'm just thinking about any
The danger
place.
of that.
Yeah, well, yes, that, the danger of it, but also anytime there's an opportunity for a line to form anywhere at your
I
wedding.
agree.
Like,
Yep.
I don't want to be queuing as a guest for longer than like
No.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
So if there's a super big attraction thing and people are like in a line to get to it, you're immediately losing me and my experience is kind of like me.
Yes. No, I absolutely agree.
And not just to be a diva as a guest, but like the flow of traffic of people mingling, like it's harder to mingle in a line and then suddenly there's like this block of people. Also, it doesn't make for great photos because I feel like people aren't enjoying, I don't know.
Yes.
It's just hard to have a long line for anything.
Well,
So I'd be concerned about that.
And think about it like, okay, if we actually are putting it in like festival terms, festivals have VIP, right? And there's no lines. Your wedding should be the VIP experience for your guests and not like everybody waiting in line for some like, subpar activation. So I agree with you, no lines, but I'm into unique activities. DIY cocktails, I think, could go horrifically wrong.
Yeah. There was one this was 10 plus years ago at my cousin's wedding. They had a dark and stormy station. And this was like, I never saw this at another wedding, but dark and stormy is just 2 ingredients. It's rum and what's the other ingredient? Ginger ale or?
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah.
Pretty sure. I'll fact check after the episode, but it's just 2 ingredients. So you got to put one in, the other one in, got to make your own ratio. And it was super fun and cool. It was like a little interactive moment, but it wasn't like a cocktail shaker doing a whole extensive
Like if
thing.
you're gonna, also I feel like if you're going to an event, once again, this goes back to the VIP experience. If you're gonna attend an event, I want to like be able to just like, walk up, grab a drink, and like I'm on vacation.
Yes.
If someone's like, oh, the handle of vodka's over there and you can figure it out, I'm gonna be like, no.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, I want your wedding to feel like my vacation.
But like that's literally what I want people. I want people to be like, we are on vacation, having a great time, mingling, like all of that, and then
Interesting.
projection mapped decor.
Well, okay, I have seen more of this, but it has to be very venue specific about how it's
Totally.
working. I did see sometimes it's hard to tell when you see a piece of content whether this is a trend or if it's just like a one-time instance and then you just think that it's cool. But it was like a little projected live stream of the event up on the wall. So it was like almost like being in a reality show of the event that you're in, and it was in this sort of not like castle, but it was projected against this sort of old stone wall, and it was sort of like in this kind of grainy, you know how the 90s are kind of having a moment right now with the love story and like a lot of nostalgia type of stuff. And it was very like handheld camcorder wedding video type of thing. It was actually very cute. I thought that was
okay. See, I like that, but you would have to tell people, otherwise, like this is my own issue. Is like
no mooning.
No mooning, or like you could be yapping with someone about other details or other guests. Yeah, and then all of a sudden, then it is a reality show.
Yeah, maybe it just needs to be muted, pretty much.
Yes, if it's muted, then fine.
Yeah, but on the AI side, I'm curious, like, okay, and from a planner perspective, we have certain AI features on the platform that help you with different planning elements, but it's all about, like, bouncing ideas off of our chat assistant or more efficiently getting a customized to-do list so that you can look at like a customized list of wedding to-dos, but not like creating a weird AI video of your vows, because I don't really know that people want that.
And doesn't that seem, excuse the bulldog, doesn't that seem wildly impersonal?
Is it a video of, like an actual video of you, or it takes a little snippet and then extrapolates it into a larger video?
It takes like a snippet of you and then creates an AI video of you talking, which you didn't do, whatever vows you...
I see.
Yeah, like that's the scary part, is I'm like, okay, so like...
Yeah. Well, also, I mean, sometimes you see things that AI does and you're like, wow, technology. And other times it's like, why does that person have 11 fingers and they're speaking gibberish? So like, even if you did make the video, it might not be something you want to save and have as like your wedding memorabilia anyway.
I agree. Okay, this next one is kind of fun. Food that's basically a night market. So roaming chefs, massive grazing tables, and it said think like arts and wine festival vibes, so like food trucks and things like that. I personally love it. I'm here for an experience. This goes back to my s'mores cowboys. I'm like, roaming chefs, let's make roaming chefs a thing.
I think the roaming food generally is really having a moment right now, like roaming people in the crowd. I think that's super cool. It's almost like taking past hors d'oeuvres to the next level in a weird way.
Yeah. In like even more of an elevated way, if you can spin it. I've seen like cannoli people now.
Yes, I saw that.
Those ones look cool. This is like the s'mores cowboys are like the same exact vibe, where they have like the little heat gun and stuff. And I'm like, anything like that where you get to like kind of watch them create it, I'm here for it. Yeah.
My one side note to that is, anytime there's a past hors d'oeuvre or something that you're eating on the fly, just make sure that the thing that you're eating, that you're giving the guests everything they need to be successful with that item, whether it's a napkin or like if you have a skewer, what am I doing with this skewer? Am I putting it in my pocket? Am I putting it on a table?
Yeah.
Are you going to stand there while I eat it and then take the skewer from me? Do I need a tiny plate? Do I need a fork? Like, those are the kinds of operational things that I think make the wedding flow better. And it's also like a better guest experience. So you're not having to like walk around with a toothpick and then you end up putting it down on the table. And then there's a bunch of like used weird toothpicks on the table. Like, I would just encourage people, anyone listening, think through what happens when you do something and
Yes.
how it'll impact your people.
And that is a great example of something that, like, this goes back to like when we were talking about Trevor and I planning and things that I was very passionate about that like normal people wouldn't think of. That was one. Like when we did our tasting, there were these like really good crab cake situations, but they were a mess. Like even me sitting at a table with a plate eating it, I was like, this is ending up on someone's dress, like guaranteed. It had a sauce on top.
No.
And I'm like, we can't do it. It was great. We both loved it. But I was like, from a logistics standpoint, you have to think through where people are getting these from.
Yeah. Is it a 1 biter? Is it 2 bites? Is it
That was
like
at least
plate?
4.
But this is where I'm curious, like, okay, your catering person was offering it to you. Like, what is their vision for how it's supposed to be consumed?
Well, and that's what I said too. And it was like, oh, you just pick it up. And I'm like, but it's multiple bites. Like it's already a mess.
Yeah.
And those napkins are just going to be like filled. You're going to be holding a napkin filled with crumbs.
Yeah. The funny thing about that is, to the guests, if it's fully smooth and you've thought of everything, their experience is uninterrupted and it's an amazing experience. Yeah. And so it's almost like they didn't get anything from it because it was so smooth. But then if there is something, like the absence of annoyance is like middle ground. Yes. But if there is something annoying, then that's what's noticed. So it's almost like you don't get the credit for everyone realizing that every appetizer was a 1 biter. You just know that they didn't have an annoying thing. Yes, but it's still worth thinking about.
Still worth thinking about, and I would encourage everybody to think through that before putting a crab cake that's 5 bites good.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one makes me angry as a photographer, but I want to hear other people's opinions. Documentary chaos. Think chaotic indie movie footage, camcorders, disposable cameras, film photos, and guest shot footage mixed into the final gallery.
Interesting.
I want you go off first, because I, as a photographer, I don't even think I'm qualified to like say.
Okay, I've seen this trend recently that I actually really liked, and it's a little shot list that each guest gets on their place, either at the seat assignment board or at their table. Maybe it's like a table-based activity, and all the shots are different per table or by person, and it'll be like almost like a scavenger hunt for photographs, but it could be on your phone or on a disposable camera or a Polaroid or whatever, but it'll be like, get a picture of the groom dancing like the most embarrassing dance move, or get a picture of the mother of the bride like with tears in her eyes, or like really specific things to get. And even like more niche than that, but it then compiles some really specific, funny, cool, like heartfelt things that the bride and groom or the couple wanted to have that the photographer might not know to get or not like be thinking so specifically about. So I really like that trend that's going around. But I'm curious what at the end when you said included in the final gallery, does that mean like where does that go exactly, or what does that mean?
That loses me, because from a photography standpoint, I really pride myself on like I want my couples to be able to go through their galleries and like see their day start to finish. And that's not like, selfie, like 10 selfies of like friends showing up taking shots. Like, yes, that's fun, and that it can totally be a separate thing. Like, do I want that mixed into the photos that I spent like hours editing? No. Because those are in my mind, those are two separate things. But I have seen the trend lately. Even yesterday, I was watching one that was like, what was it about? It was about a photographer, and he was like, he shot an entire wedding, just like point and shoot digital camera, like the kind that we used to carry around in like 8th grade. Like the time, whatever one.
The kind that influencers are using now and like super excited about.
Yeah, the Canon G7X that's now like, thousands of dollars when it should literally only be like $50.
Yes, it's pink. I already know. Yeah.
It's pink. Yeah, it's pink.
Yeah.
But he was like, I just want to prove that like there is a reason to hire a professional photographer. Like, I'm going to shoot an entire wedding just on this little, crappy camera that everybody can buy. And he did, and it was the way that he edited and everything. Like, they looked professional. And I've had this conversation with brides and grooms. I had a bride and groom not long ago ask me on a consult call, Like, what happens if your camera breaks? And I'm like, well, I have a backup one. They're like, what happens if that breaks? Or like the bag gets stolen.
Those are legitimate questions.
It is. And I had an answer that like just kind of came out of nowhere, but then I actually thought about it after and I was like, you know what? That's like not bad. I told her, because she was like, hey, what if the backup camera breaks? This, and that, the other. We got down to like, I was like, you could leave me with my iPhone. And I guarantee you, I could still put together a wedding gallery. Like, that's how good iPhone photos are now. Like, you could technically do that as a photographer. Would it take like a lot of editing and back end stuff? Totally. To make it look super professional. But that's what this guy did. And he like proved a point. So I feel like people are like kind of leaning more that way. It's funny because it's like a 180 to like 5 years ago. Everybody wanted like the smooth skin, like crazy edited photos. And now people are realizing that like there is some fun in like the candid ones and things like that. I just think two things can exist. Like you can have your gallery or like your QR codes where guests can like scan and upload their stuff. But then I do think there needs to be like a special place for those like professional photos that you're going to like frame and put on your wall for forever.
Totally. Yeah. And I think I love those candid photos that are really in the moment. There's lots of movement. You feel like you're really experiencing the vibe and the authentic kind of sensations of the moment. But like the perfect messy bun or a perfectly draped drape somewhere, those look effortless, but it takes artistry and know-how in order to capture them. And I think that's where people think I can just release a bunch of my friends out to capture some candid moments and it's going to come back with that very vibey aesthetic look that they want. And sure, maybe a few of them will come back and be like in that same vein that you're looking for. But I think professional photographers, if that's what you're looking for, can capture that vibe in an elevated type of way. So it's both, really.
Yes.
But
yeah. And what I will say from a professional photographer is you want someone who knows how the day is going to go and has no issue standing up in front of people. Because I've seen that happen with like baby photographers or like people who are very new or like, wait, like, how do I get the aisle shot? I don't want to go in the aisle. And I was like, no, you go in the aisle.
You
like,
have to.
You have to go in the aisle. Like, you are the eyes and ears of the bride and groom. Nobody else. So, like, I don't care what a guest, I will stand in front of a guest to get photos of speeches, things like that. Not for long. I'm still, like, respectful when it comes to, like, spatial awareness, I would say. But there's those certain aspects where, like, you have to, like, know how a wedding's going to go or, like, that you need to, like, get in there and, like, get those shots for the bride and groom to actually see their whole day.
100%.
Okay. Last little section here. This kind of sent me down the rabbit hole of like, obviously Gen Z is now kind of the star of the show when it comes to weddings. They're like younger generation coming up and they're the ones kind of dictating a lot of these trends. So I had to do a breakdown on, these are real Gen Z trends that are trending right now.
Let's see. Weddings. Let's hear them. I'm
just going to read them off and then we're going to assess. 1, zombie apocalypse weddings. Photos, this ties into photos that look like horror movie posters, things like that. Okay. 2, renting random exotic animals and viewing them more as like interactive living decor instead of flowers, in lieu of flowers.
Okay. In lieu of flowers. Okay.
In lieu of flowers.
Sure. Why
3,
not?
This one threw me. Piercing the ring into your fingers. Dermal piercings mid-ceremony. And apparently this is happening. Crazy. 4 is puppies instead of flower bouquets. It's like rescue dogs.
That's very bridesmaids.
Very bridesmaids. Rescue dogs that people can adopt.
Okay.
And then the last one is live birds delivering rings.
That one is giving me America's Funniest Home Video where the doves are just like flying away. You're like, what?
With the rings. Exactly. Well, that's how I feel like that would go. I had to elaborate and I said, like, what type of bird? Owl?
An eagle.
A
bald eagle.
Bald eagle? Maybe I'm in. But an owl? I'm like, how are we getting an owl? Aren't they nocturnal? Is he going to do his job right? Like, I have so many more follow-up questions.
Oh my gosh. Okay, this is making me laugh because I think the wedding industry, like many industries, is obsessed with trends. Not only thinking about what the future one is going to be, deciding whether you want to participate in it or not, or deciding that someone is out of trend because they're doing something that's not like super, super current. And I think this obsession with trends can sometimes open the door to people doing stuff that isn't in line with what they truly want because they feel pressured to do something, or you're just doing it to do it and there's not really like a why behind it.
Yes.
And so a lot of these that I hear, it makes me think like, what are we getting out of this? And what is the real benefit to doing it?
I don't think there is any. From a shock value aspect, I'm like, your guests will be entertained. That's for sure. Beyond that, I don't know if I foresee any of these sticking around very long, but that is the fun part about like the wedding industry as a whole, is like,
yeah,
trends don't stay long, thank God. If we had to deal with dermal piercings for forever, I would lose my mind.
Yeah. If you had a dermal piercing of your wedding ring, please comment below, because I don't know that we could find 10 people who did this. And maybe there are 2 people who did it and now it's a trend online, which is kind of funny.
But also, like, I feel like you'd go to stick your hands in your jeans one time.
No.
And you're done. Like, you're done. You're not going to have the dermal piercing.
Definitely. If you had to participate in one of those 5 or however many you listed, which one are you participating in?
Oh my God, that's a really good question. Not zombie apocalypse. Absolutely not. Live birds only if it's eagles. And I would say probably the puppies, I guess.
She says tentatively.
Throw them in. Add puppies into the mix. Mainly just because of bridesmaids, I think. Oh my God. Okay, wait, which one are you picking? You got zombie apocalypse, renting random exotic animals instead of flowers, piercing rings into fingers, puppies instead of flower bouquets, or live birds delivering rings.
I'm going to do renting an exotic animal, although I don't understand why it has to be instead of flowers, because those seem very different and not at all interchangeable. But actually, I went to my friend's wedding a number of years ago where at the altar, her brother had a sloth. And it was like a zookeeper with the sloth on him. And he did like a little kind of moment toast or like speech during the ceremony where he was saying, I'm inviting you to live life slow like the sloth. And then he asked them both to like kiss the sloth. I don't think they did. We were like kind of further back and it was hard to see the sloth. But it was so funny. And then later they took photos with the sloth and it was like just the comparison between her beautiful kind of like lacy dress and this like hairy sloth with like the claws, like they're very long nails and stuff. It was very funny. So like that was a funny instance. I'm trying to think what exotic animal I would choose.
Yeah, that was my next question, was like, which animal are you choosing?
I mean, okay, so recently my daughter went to the zoo and they had giraffes roaming around, and you can feed the giraffes little like pieces of lettuce or like cabbage or something. If a giraffe were to wander by with a piece of lettuce and guests could feed the giraffe, I think that would be very cool. So I'm gonna say giraffe.
She's going giraffe. It's all hypothetical.
Yes, this is hypothetical. We would preserve the welfare of the animal.
I can't believe this sloth thing, A, has never been brought up until now. B, they were so ahead of their time.
Yes. Yeah. Very, very ahead of their time.
Very ahead of their time. Well, that's it. That is all of my 2027 updates.
Oh, amazing. Well, as always, if you made it this far, you're definitely a part of our Plannered family. And I mean, we're inching our way closer to your wedding. And I feel like things are about to get very real with like last minute logistics and final decision making and like needing to try your dress on right before the wedding and seeing how that goes.
You know what? That's my one update. We just learned 2 days ago that my dress doesn't get in until mid-July.
Okay.
The wedding is mid-August.
Okay. Is there any chance
Very fast.
Yep.
Turnaround time.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Is
the
that...
good thing is, what I will say, because I called and I was like, is this a problem? Because we definitely can't get alterations done that fast. So what happens if it doesn't fit? I guess because it's not a it's a couture dress. So they're making it specifically to me. And so she basically just said, like, and the good thing is, let's say this very quietly, because Trevor's in the other room, it laces up in the back.
Yeah.
So we've got room, I'm like, I'm hoping that we're safe. We should be safe. Fingers crossed. She didn't seem concerned, and I was like, okay, then I'm just going to trust the process. We're going to trust
Yeah. Trust it. Trust the process.
Trusting the process.
Well, we will talk to you all later, and leave us a comment. Tell us what kind of guests you'd be interested in seeing. Maybe people from different aspects of the wedding planning journey. Maybe we want to hear from some other brides on how their wedding planning process is going. So leave us a little comment, give us a like, and we'll see you next week.
Woohoo! Well.